Hey everyone, it's me Bailey and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is episode 4 in my Diversify My Reading series. So July is Disability Pride Month. So in today's video, I'm going to be reading books featuring characters that have some sort of disability, whether that be physical or mental. I am trying to do like a pretty even mix of both because I feel like there are books out there that do focus on these topics and I feel like they're not as widely talked about or promoted. So I am going to try and do my best to share some with you. A really good creator who does have a disability and really advocates for promoting literature that talks about disabilities is Rochelle, and she is literally one of the sweetest human beings ever. And I did get a couple of recommendations from her. She did make a recommendations video on some books with disability, so I did grab a couple from her video. Her channel and the video will be linked in the description if you want to go check it out. But with that being said, I do have a small TBR of books that I'm hoping to get to this week that have characters that have a disability. So the first book that I am planning on picking up is going to be Not My Type by Evie Mitchell, and our main female character is in a wheelchair. So this is the book that I will be starting with first. I do believe this one is a bit of a shorter book, so I feel like it probably won't take me too long to read it, but I'm excited to get into this one. This one is a small town romance. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into Not My Type. Reading Not My Type today, and I am currently on page 118, chapter 20, which is 57% into the book. So this book isn't that long. It is just under 230 pages. So I am going through this one a little bit quickly, but also too, not like super quickly. So in this, we're following Frankie, and she has had some health issues in the past and she is now in a wheelchair. She is the host of this podcast, and her podcast has been nominated for a bunch of awards and is like nominated for Best Podcast of the Year. She does a podcast around accessibility, and her podcast is called All Access, and she is a doctor in like sexology, and so on her podcast they talk about access of all different sorts, not necessarily like disability access, but just a bunch of different things. And so one of her listeners writes in to the podcast about like rope play and like bondage and things like that. And so she ends up reaching out to this guy, Jay. Jay is a rigger, so he knows a lot about like ropes and like bondage and that kind of thing. So she reaches out to him to have him on her podcast and get a little bit more information about it and how it can be accessible to everyone. And so they start kind of a friendship sort of situation around this, and then obviously things start to progress into more. With me being 57% into the book, we have had our first spicy scene, and I feel like it was written well, and that's really all I have. Like, I don't know, I feel like this book, I'm not like super obsessed with the premise of the book. While I think it's fine and like the writing is fine, the dialogue is somewhat cringy, just a little bit, and awkward, but I mean, for the most part, I am having a enjoyable time reading it. I feel like it's fine. It's not my favorite book of all time, but it's definitely not like bad. I'm definitely interested to see where the relationship is going to go. It started off as like a friendship sort of thing because Jay's like, yeah, I don't do relationships, but he's very intrigued by Frankie. Like, his attraction to her was like almost instant. And so he is like, no, I don't really do relationships, but it seems like he's willing to kind of go against his norm for Frankie, which I really like. And so they tried to do like the friendship thing, and then they're kind of moving into like a friends with benefits sort of situation, and now they're sort of like dating. But I will say, I feel like that progression did happen a little fast in my opinion, which granted, the book is 225 pages, so of course things are going to be a little bit quicker, but I definitely would have thought we would have had that friends with benefits a little bit more than them having one interaction and then immediately them going into dating. But I'm having a good time. I'm going to continue reading. I'm hoping to finish it tonight. It says that I have an hour and 6 minutes left in the book, and I have just over an hour until it's time for me to go to bed. So I am hoping to finish this before going to bed tonight. So with that, I will update hopefully once I'm finished with Not My Type. I finished Not My Type. Oh, okay. Hey, Bubba. You wanted to come up here for this update? Okay, so I finished Not My Type by Evie Mitchell, and I think I'm gonna rate this book 3 stars. I feel like it was okay. I definitely still have the same complaints from earlier. I definitely feel like the relationship felt very rushed, in my opinion. Like, everything just seemed to move super fast at lightning speed. They said they were going to be friends and then decided to be friends with benefits. But it was like the jump from them being friends to them being in a relationship was way faster than them being friends, having friends with benefits, and then getting into a relationship. They basically just skipped the friends with benefits part and jumped straight into the relationship, which is fine and would have been fine if they would not have made this whole big deal about them being friends with benefits. We find out the reason that Jay doesn't do relationships is because of the stuff that happened previously with his ex. And I don't know, just he didn't like sit right with me. And then the reason for like the 3rd act breakup just also didn't really sit right with me, because I literally wanted to be like, man up, like man up. Like, I get it, like this person meant a lot to you, and obviously words can hurt. They very much can. But for him, I was like, brother, come on. Like, you found a girl who you love, you say you love, she loves you, and you're letting this woman from like forever ago like come in and like still have this power over you. I was like, I don't know. It just didn't sit right with me. So for that, I'm giving it 3 stars. Loved Frankie, loved her, thought she was so fun. Jay, on the other hand, not a main male character for me. So that is my update on Not My Type. It is like 20 minutes or so before I will be going to bed. So I don't know if I'm going to start anything else tonight, but I have gone ahead and picked out the next book that I'm going to be reading. And that is going to be Only When It's Us by Chloe Leese. And this has a main male character who is deaf and has a hearing aid, I believe. I have heard really good things about this series and Chloe Leese as an author, so I'm super excited to read this book. I've heard that the Bergman brothers are like some really good book boyfriends, so I'm super excited to get into this. I love a series of standalones following siblings. Like, something that I love is when series are standalones and they follow multiple siblings in a family. Like, that's just like one of my favorite types of series. So I'm super excited to get into this. I might start it tonight, we'll see, but I am gonna go ahead and like update all my Goodreads, Storygraph, all of that with my ratings and things on Not My Type. And then I'm about to start getting ready for bed, so we'll see if I have time to start something new before I go to bed. But as of right now, it's looking like I'll probably end up starting it tomorrow. I have a reading update and I have a couple of boxes to unbox. So let's start with my reading update. So I'm currently on chapter 10, which is page 107, which I am 30% into Only When It's Us, which is the first book in the Bergman Brothers series. And so far I'm enjoying this. So we're following Willa, and she is a college soccer player. and she has been really struggling in this business class that she has to take for her degree, and she's been having a really hard time with balancing school, soccer, and then her mom, who is also sick, which feeling a little relatable. But we're also following Ryder, who previously was a soccer player as well. So after some meningitis that took away his hearing, he has decided to end his time in the sport since he can no longer hear properly. He has really hard of hearing and he's like partially deaf. And so he has essentially given up his soccer career, but is still going to college and is in the same business class that Willa is in. And so they end up getting paired together for this project, for this class that they're both in. And it starts off very like rocky because Willa just feels like this professor of this class is just out to get her. And she asked Ryder for his notes, but not knowing that he couldn't hear her, he like essentially just ignored her because he literally could not hear her. And so she thought that he was being a total jerk. And so their relationship didn't really start off the greatest. It was definitely like rivals-ish, kind of enemies-ish to lovers. It was definitely like dislike to like. And so she eventually finds out that he is hard of hearing and that he actually literally could not hear her. And they end up starting to work together on this project, and now they're starting to catch feelings for each other. And we just got to a scene where Willa goes out and Ryder ends up coming and like taking her from the like club that they're at, or like the party that they were at, and like takes her because he's like, no, you're drunk, you're wearing this outfit, like you need to leave. And so he like makes sure that she gets home and everything, and it was super cute and sweet. So that is kind of where I'm at. I'm enjoying it so far. I will say it is feeling a bit long to me so far. Like it's feeling a little bit kind of long-winded, and I think it's probably because the chapters are just a little bit on the longer side. With me being on chapter 10 and being 100 pages in, I'm feeling like the chapters are a little bit long for me and what I'm hoping for right now. But overall, I am enjoying the book and definitely plan to continue reading. But that is my update on the book. And now for the packages. I have 2 packages to unbox, both from Barnes & Noble. So it is New Release Tuesday. So one of these is a new release. I want to say it's this top one. And so in here we've got Yes Chef by Grace Riley. And I originally wasn't going to pick this book up, but I literally kept seeing it everywhere. And like the marketing was doing its thing, because I was like, okay, I feel like this sounds like something that I would really enjoy, and just sounds like something that I am going to have a really fun time with. And I'm super excited to read this. Plus I think the cover is so cute. And yeah, the marketing got me on this one, so I decided to pick this one up. Also, on like a side note, the edges right here are like extra crispy and like square. I don't know, but I am excited to read this. So there's that one. And then the next one, there's only one book in this box, if you can believe it. And I'm sure, guessing by the size of the box, you might be able to figure out what it is. And it is Frozen by Stardust by Elizabeth Helen. This is the 5th book in the Beast of the Briar series. And surprisingly, this one is not thicker than book 4. It's still a brick, but it's not as big as book 4, which is insane, because I definitely thought that the books would just keep getting longer and longer. But the fact that this one actually is a little bit shorter is surprising to me. But I did pick this book up so that way I can read it. So hopefully I will be reading this here soon. And I'm super excited to have both of these books, and I cannot wait to read them. I will be putting them in my Notion so that way I can catalog that I grabbed them. And with that, that's it for my update. I'm probably going to do a little bit more reading. I think I might have some dinner plans tonight with a couple of my friends. We'll see about that. But for now, I think I'm just gonna go hang out with Navy and play with him a little bit, and potentially do some listening to the audiobook. I just got to work. I've been listening to the audiobook of Only When It's Us while on the way in and getting ready this morning, and I have a couple of frustrations with the book, and I feel like it's more frustrations with Ryder than anything else. And I feel like the most recent chapter that I read was in well, okay, it was in Willa's point of view, but the chapter for that was in Ryder's point of view. And obviously Willa is going through a lot. So like, she's obviously in school, she's playing soccer, her mom is like battling cancer, and so she just has a lot going on. And I feel like the way that in Ryder's monologue, like his inner thoughts and his inner monologue, the way that he was essentially talking about how Willa won't, so he found out about Willa's mom's cancer, and now he's like kind of upset with the fact that Willa won't tell him about it. And I think it's so weird because he is not very like forthcoming with information, and it's something that Willa has told him previously, like, hey, you know so much about me, but I don't really know anything about you. And now to like get in his inner monologue and he's talking about, oh, she's talking about how she doesn't really know me, but like she won't tell me that her mom has cancer. And it's like, I feel like that is not at all the same thing. Like, it's not. And I feel like she has a prerogative to tell who she wants to tell when she wants to tell. And I feel like it's like really weird of Ryder to be like, oh, well, we're working on this project together, so the fact that she hasn't told me that her mom has cancer is like a double standard because she wants to know about me, but then she's not telling me everything about her. And I'm like, it's giving me the ick. I'm like, I'm kind of icked out, and I don't like that, especially as someone who really relates to Willa and like what's going on. And I'm fearing that the way that the story is going to go, I feel like it's going to end up being very relatable to me. And so it's just kind of weird, in my opinion, that he would be thinking these things and like feel almost like he is entitled to this information about Willa and what's going on in her life when he's not very forthcoming of information himself. I don't know. Anyways, just kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. I don't know. I'm gonna continue listening to the book while I'm at work. I'm about to go inside. It's like 7:30, and so I'm getting ready to go in, but thought I would give that update really quickly on how I'm feeling about the book. Like, I feel like the book is okay, and yeah, I don't know. I didn't read anymore last night before going to bed, but I am definitely going to get some more reading done today. I'm hoping to finish it. And so anyways, that's my update for now, and I will talk to you probably once I get home. I'm gonna go inside now, and hopefully I can finish the book while I'm in here today. 70% into a book too far to DNF because I kind of hate this book, actually. To my utter surprise, I am actually hating this book. I don't get it. It's not good. It's not working for me. So I have been writing down my thoughts as I've been going because I just feel like this book is just not working for me. I feel like the chapters are so long. I feel like there have been points where there's like chapter breaks, but it could have just been a new chapter. Like, it could have just been a new chapter. We didn't need to continue the chapter. Ryder, I know we talked about this earlier with his entitlement to feeling like he needs to know things about Willa's personal life, when at the point that they were in the story, they were still very much frenemies and not like trying to establish like a real connection and like trying to actually get to know each other. It felt very weird and odd to me. Honestly, both of the main characters are annoying to me. There was a part where it was stated that he was like sitting on the couch or something, and he like spread his legs and then patted his chest to like get her to come over to him. And I was like, is she a dog? Like, what are we doing? That's icky. That gave me the ick. Did not like that. Another thing that's really been bothering me is that she continues to mumble and continues to say her inner thoughts out loud without realizing it. It's like she'll be thinking something and then someone will respond to her and she's like, oh, did I say that out loud? I'm sorry, how do you not, like, how? And maybe I'm just not like an auditory processor. I'm very much like a internal processor, that I'm like, how are you just out here mumbling and saying things and people are responding to you and you just are not realizing it? And maybe that's just on me and something that I just can't understand because it's not something that I like deal with or relate to, but it's really bothering me in this book because it's not like it's happened one or two times. Like, it's happened at least like 10 or more times in this book, and I'm like, how are we not realizing that this is something that we do? Another thing is that the dialogue is sometimes a bit cringy, and I just am having a hard time with it. Also too, we're 70% into the book, and Willa is literally saying, no, I don't want any type of relationship. I only want friends with benefits. I'm sorry, you want me to believe that at 70%, this is what she's saying to him, and he's of course going to tell her no because he's like having real feelings for her, and you want me to believe that they make it? You want me to believe that this ends in a happy ever after? Because at 70% in the book, she is saying that she wants to be friends with benefits. Okay, yeah, got it. So at what point is it safe to DNF? Because I feel like now is the time, because I am just not having a good time reading this. I don't like it. I don't like it. I wanted to like this book so bad. I'd heard so many people talking about this series and how good this series was, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm not having a good time. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna DNF and pivot, because life is too short to read books that you don't like. So we're gonna switch it up. I've started A Curse So Dark and Lonely, and I wasn't sure what the disability rep in this was going to be, because I had found this on Goodreads under like a disability tag, and I saw this was on here, and this has been on my shelves for quite a while, so I wasn't sure kind of what direction this was going to go in. And so we're following our main character, Harper, and this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So Harper is from DC. I want to say like in this time period, it's like the late 2010s. And so we're following Harper. She's in DC. She's being the lookout for her brother, who is like doing something a little like suspicious. And she is acting as lookout, where she hears this girl getting kidnapped. And so she steps in and ends up being taken to this other realm, where she is then forced to live in a castle with a man who turns into a beast. And again, it's like giving Beauty and the Beast retelling, which, because that's what it is. But we're following Ren, and he is the prince of this kingdom, and he has been cursed to turn into this beast, and he has been killing his subjects and things like that. And he is cursed, of course, to find someone to fall in love with him, or else, you know, he will eventually die. It's his last season to find someone to fall in love with him, or he will die. So now we're following Harper and Ren as they're like, I guess, really kind of learning how to live together. You can tell that like Harper is very like headstrong. She's very opinionated and very like just stubborn. But she also does have cerebral palsy. We find out pretty early in the book that that is the disability that she has. She does have a more mild form of cerebral palsy, but she did have to have surgeries on her leg when she was a kid. So she does have damage in her leg, and she does walk with a limp. And of course, with cerebral palsy, it does kind of like flare up, I believe. I feel like we're getting a bit of information about it. She does kind of explain it to Ren, because he didn't understand. He kept asking her if she was injured, and so he kept just thinking that she was like injured, and he was like trying to help her, and she was like, no, I'm fine, like I'm fine. And so she did kind of tell him a little bit about it, and how she got diagnosed with it, and like what caused her to be diagnosed with cerebral palsy and that kind of thing. But I'm enjoying it so far. I kind of wish that I would have picked this up a lot sooner. If I would have read this back in like, I want to say this book came out in like 2019. If I would have read this during that time, I would have absolutely eaten this book up. Absolutely. Because this came out around the time that like ACOTAR, I think, was finishing up, and like the series was, I say finishing up because obviously it's 2026 and it's not finished, but when the first 3 books in that series was finishing up, and this is like, I feel like this would have done so well for me at that point in my life. I mean, it's still doing very well for me right now. Like, I'm having a really good time. I'm really enjoying it. And I will say, like, Bridget Kimmerer, so I did recently read her adult debut, because this is a young adult book. It's technically like upper YA because our characters are like 18, so it would kind of fall into that upper YA, like new adult sort of territory. And I am really, really enjoying this. And so I did read Bridget Kimmerer's adult debut, which was Warrior Princess Assassin. And I absolutely loved that book, could not put it down. And the writing still feels very similar and the same. And I am actually like eating this book up. Like, I'm really enjoying the way that it's written. I'm really enjoying the storytelling in this. Now, is the Beauty and the Beast thing a bit overdone at this point? Sure, but I am having a really, really good time reading this still, and I definitely can see myself like wanting to binge this. I am probably about a third of the way into it right about now, but I'm definitely having a good time. I'm definitely planning on reading some more of this and reading as much as I can today. I feel like I'm kind of flying through it now that I've actually like taken the time to sit down and actually read it, but I'm really enjoying it, having a great time. I'm interested to see how she will continue to give us a little bit more information about cerebral palsy. I've definitely been looking into that diagnosis a little bit after finding out that that was the disability in this book, just so I can personally learn a little bit more about it, because I had no idea before starting this book that there were different case types of cerebral palsy. Like, I had thought, because obviously I've heard of this condition before, and I had thought that it was very extreme. I did not realize that there were like different sort of like sensitivities to the disease, if that makes sense. Like, some cases are a little bit more or less mild than others. I did not know that that was a thing. So that is definitely helping me to educate myself on something that I didn't really know much about previously. So, and that is honestly one of the main points of me doing this series on my channel, is so that way I can continue to educate myself on these things that I don't really have experience with or know much about. And so I'm really grateful that these real life topics are in fiction books, because then I feel like it brings awareness, and that is literally what I'm trying to do with this video and this series. And so I'm definitely excited to continue reading and continuing to learn more about this disability. So with that being said, I'm gonna stop yapping for now. I'm gonna do some more reading, and I will update again a little bit later once I've read more of A Curse So Dark and Lonely. I don't have a reading update, but I do have a package update. So I have 2 books that were supposed to have been delivered to me quite a while ago on their actual like new release Tuesday, but I guess they like ran out of stock or something, so they never came until just now. So that is what is in these 2 boxes. So we will be opening them now. So this first box, these are from Barnes & Noble. So this first one is The Roommate Rule by Georgia Stone. And this is an opposites attract and forced proximity summer romance. I was very intrigued by this cover. I think it's absolutely so stunning and gorgeous. So I ended up picking this up, and I'm super excited to read it. And then the next one is one that I've been seeing online, and it like really intrigued me because it was a book of the month pick one month, and it sounded like it was good. So I decided to grab a copy of it. And so in this box, we've got Main Character by Bobby Palmer, and this is a romance book, but it's not told from like our 2 main characters' point of views. It's told from the people around them in their life. So it is their love story narrated by the people around them. And so that sounded like such an interesting concept. And so I'm super excited to read this. Plus, I just love this cover. I love the green. I love the font color. I love the font choice. Like, just everything about this book. I am obsessed with the way that it looks. It's also like white and green underneath, which is so cute. So I am super excited to read this. So these are the 2 books that I was supposed to have gotten like probably 3 new release Tuesdays ago, and they finally showed up. So super excited to have these and read them. I'm gonna go put them in my Notion, and we will get back to our regularly scheduled programming with A Curse So Dark and Lonely. I have a bit reading update, but not one that I was hoping to have. I was hoping to have been finished with this book by now, but I am really enjoying it, but I feel like I'm putting it off because I'm enjoying it, if that makes sense. Like, I'm wanting it to last as long as possible, so I haven't really been wanting to pick it up just because I don't really want it to end. So that's like a really good thing in my eyes and in my opinion. But yesterday I did end up joining sprints with Kindle and got some reading done during that time. However, today I have not done any reading at all whatsoever. I have had a bit of a busier day. I got up this morning, went to get my nails and stuff done, and then I had to run to the grocery store where I had to grab some stuff for brunch with my granny. So then I went to my granny's house where we had brunch over there, and then I came home, and by that point it was like 4 p.m. And then of course, like, the day absolutely hit me because I was up so late last night and got up kind of early this morning, and so I came home and took a nap. And so now it's like almost 9 p.m. and I'm like just now coming back to the side. Like, I've been awake for a little bit, but like I've just been really kind of like lollygagging and like dilly-dallying and like not really doing anything. I've been literally scrolling on my phone, which is so crazy because I told myself, I was like, yeah, like today I'm gonna try and put my phone down some, and yet here I've been for the last like hour. So I'm thinking I'm gonna do some reading now. I am just over halfway through the book. I'm currently on chapter 32, page 278, and I definitely would have read some at the nail salon, but I forgot my headphones, so I couldn't listen to the audiobook while they were doing my nails, because I definitely was there for like an hour and a half, and I definitely could have made like a really big chunk in this if I would not have got my headphones. So hate that for me, but I am going to do some reading now, and I am definitely going to try my best to finish this tomorrow for sure. There is one more book that I want to read after this one for this video, so I'm hoping that one won't take me as long to get through. I think it's a bit of a shorter one, plus it's like library, so I feel like usually I fly through those pretty fast, but we'll see. I'm going to continue reading, and I will hopefully talk to you again once I finished A Curse So Dark and Lonely. It's a bit later, and I finished A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kimmerer. I knew I was gonna like this because I liked Bridget Kimmerer's adult novel, and so I had such a good time with this. This did kind of read a little bit more new adult or like upper YA, so it wasn't like super YA, which I enjoyed. I will say, if I would have read this book 6 or 7 years ago, I absolutely would have given this book 5 stars, like without a doubt. But unfortunately, I am giving this book 4 stars, which, I mean, that's not a bad rating, just not a 5-star. But I still did really enjoy this book. And I will say the reason that it's not a 5-star for me is because I didn't really believe the romance. Like, it's sort of like a love triangle, but like not really. But in my opinion, like, the romance isn't exactly present. Like, you have her essentially like between these 2 guys, the commander and the prince, and it's very obvious that they're both falling for her, but you can't really tell if she is falling for either one of them. Like, she's not very focused on actually falling in love with either one of them. She mainly is just trying to play the role of this princess and trying to like help the people in this like country and the situation, and like trying to make sure that like the people don't starve and like that kind of thing. And so she really isn't like, hey, I know that like to break the curse I need to fall in love, but like I'm not really in love, so like I don't know what's going on there. So it's like, you know, that is like the one reason that I feel like, and I mean, I don't think that that is like a really big hindrance or fault of the book. I personally just don't believe the relationships as of right now, and I have absolutely no clue who she could potentially end up with as we continue to go in the series. But I did go ahead and order the next book because I will be continuing on in the series. The ending was so good. The epilogue was literally so good. We got a reveal, and like there at the end I was starting to kind of expect that this was going to be the reveal, but it was still so good, and I cannot wait to the next book. So hopefully I will be continuing book 2 here soon, but wanted to pop in, let you know I'm rating this book 4 stars, give my final thoughts on A Curse So Dark and Lonely. And now that I'm done with that book, I will be moving on to the next book. So I do think that I will go ahead and start it tonight. It is almost 11:30 and I'm not quite sleepy just yet. So I think I will go ahead and start the next book that I was planning on starting for this video, and that is Archer's Voice. And I did not have any plans to read Archer's Voice. It's one of those books that blew up on TikTok. It was like really, really big on TikTok, and everyone was talking about how much they loved it. And I don't know, it was just one of those things that I felt like avoiding, but I feel like this book is a good book to read for disability because I believe that it is selective mutism or something like that along the lines. And I hope that's not a spoiler for like what's going on in the book, because if that's the case, then like oopsie. But I think there's like more to it than that, so we're gonna see. I don't know, don't really know much about the book. I just knew that a lot of people loved it and it kind of put me off a little bit, so I am going to try it, and who knows, it could be a 5-star for me. I could absolutely love it. We'll see it. But that is the book that I will be starting next. I do need to go grab my Kindle because I downloaded it on Kindle Unlimited. So with that, let's get into Archer's Voice. I have been reading Archer's Voice. I am 105, which I'm about 31% into the book. So we're getting ready to get a little bit more information about what happened to Archer when he's younger. But I must say, so far, I am actually really enjoying this a lot more than I thought. I feel like a bit more like, I don't want to say buzzy because I feel like that's not really like an appropriate word, but it definitely is more like intense and like a little bit more interesting than I would have originally thought. Like I feel like there's a lot going on that I obviously had never known about, and I feel like I did kind of judge this book a little bit based on the hype. But at this point, I'm feeling like I can see the reason that this book was hyped up, because Archer is literally just so sweet. And we do get like flashbacks sort of like what happened when he was younger. And so I think he's getting ready to tell Bree about like the reason or so that he doesn't speak, which we did just kind of get like a little look into that potentially. So I'm definitely interested to read more. There's also some trauma that Bree has experienced as well that she is trying to work through by coming to this town, and it's definitely devastating and heartbreaking and really difficult to read about, but I do want to continue reading. I'm feeling like this book is going to be like heartbreaking and sad, so I'm definitely interested to see where we're gonna go with the storyline. But I will say that Archer's cousin Travis is a weirdo. Like, I don't like him. He's weird. He gives me bad vibes. I don't like him. He is disgusting to me, and I know that he has his own book, and like maybe the author will like redeem him in some sort of way, but like as of right now, like Travis is a weirdo and I don't like him. I don't get good vibes from him, and like yeah, so I don't know, but I am going to continue reading, and I'm definitely really interested and intrigued in this book, so I definitely want to going. So I will update a little bit later, probably once I've either gotten further into the book and or potentially once I finish the book. I just finished Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan, and I'm giving this book 4 stars. So this book was good. I definitely understand all the hype around it. It was very much like a feel-good story around these two people who have gone through some very traumatic things in their lives and them falling in love and realizing that, you know, sometimes your differences are like the thing that can bring people together and can really be like a really beautiful thing. And so I did really appreciate that about the story. I really enjoyed, you know, following Archer and like kind of seeing how he had been really struggling in this town, how he was essentially the town pariah, and how Bree kind of comes in and helps him, you know, get out of his comfort zone and like brings him essentially back to the land of the living, and, you know, really kind of like pours into him, and then him the same way with Bree, even though he can't speak. And I had said earlier that this book was selective mutism, and that's not the case at all. He is mute, he cannot speak. But honestly, this book was just like so good. And low-key chapter 35 got me there for a second, and I was like about to be actually so pissed off because like, what do you mean? But everything ended up working out okay. Everything ended up being okay, and we did get our happily ever after, and that is what I wanted. And honestly, it was really, really good. So enjoyable. I didn't cry. I definitely could understand why some people would, but it was very heartbreaking, but also I feel like healing in a sense. And I really had a good time reading it and would definitely recommend it. I definitely understand why it did receive the hype it did. So now I will say Travis is still a weirdo and still very much don't like him, and probably will not be reading his book because I don't care about him because he is such a weirdo. And that's just that on that. But overall, really good time reading this. So happy that I picked it up, and definitely would recommend it. So that is all for Archer's Voice. That is also all for this video. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please make sure to give a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content from me. Leave me some book recommendations in the comments below if you have any books that have any disability representation in them. I would love to get some recommendations from you guys so that way I can continue adding it in to books that I'm reading regularly. Thank you again so much for watching. If you have made it to this point in the video and want to let me know that you made it all the way to the end, leave the bow and arrow emoji since Archer's name is Archer. And with that being said, thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.